Real Madrid want full-back options. Atleti keep the party going. Jovic is in hot water. Pochettino wants a Messi partnership. And today's transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich. You are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first off, Real Madrid are planning for quite a few options in their full-back positions. Now there's obviously the case of Achraf Hakimi, who is currently on loan at Dortmund and has been for the past 20 months or so. It looks like his future may be lying at Real Madrid. Now the fullback has said that he does want to be playing football. Of course he does. He's proven himself to be one of the best fullbacks in Europe, but that ultimately the decision is up to Real Madrid. Of course, he is more of a right-sided defender, although can play on the left, and it looks as though he'll have to battle it out with Dani Carvajal. Odriozola, the guy who signed from Real Sociedad to Real Madrid, found himself unable to budge Carvajal and is now on loan at Bayern Munich. So what kind of hope does Hakimi have? I'm not saying it's a bad player. There's obviously differences between the two, but Carvajal's is so difficult to dislodge. The same thing goes to the left-hand side, where actually eventually Ferland Mendy has really shown himself to be a good player and maybe has just maybe put Marcelo's future in a little bit of doubt. But this is where we come to our next fullback that Real Madrid could potentially have, and that is David Alaba. Now, the Bayern Munich fullback was speaking the other day and said that although he really does enjoy his time in Bayern Munich and he's completely focused on the club, he doesn't know where his footballing life will take him. This is even more pertinent given the fact that his contract runs out next summer. Now, we've spoken about it so much recently on the channel that when players enter the last year of their contract, the club suddenly starts scrambling for any sort of money they can get by selling them, because they don't want to look foolish, especially in the case of Alaba, one of the best left backs in Europe, who could then end up going for a free next summer. If they sell him this summer, loads of clubs will be interested in taking him at a cut price fee. So if Real Madrid were to keep both of them, they'd literally be stacked in those positions. As we mentioned before, you'd have David Alaba, Marcelo and Ferland Mendy on the left. You guys picked which one of them three you would start. Then on the right-hand side, you've got a pick between Álvaro Odriozola, Dani Carvajal, and then potentially on top of that, Achraf Hakimi as well. All I know is that Real Madrid is looking pretty good in defence. You had Sergio Ramos into the mix, Rafael Varane, Eder Militao. They're looking pretty decent. Anyway, moving on from Real and to their greatest rivals, where no Thomas, no Partey. Doesn't really make sense, but I just had to use that line. Anyway, their unbelievable Ghanaian midfielder who had a stunning performance away at Anfield in their victory in the Champions League, well, they're now looking to extend his contract because the current one has a rather measly buyout clause. For just £50 million, any club can get their hands on Thomas Partey. I say get their hands on him, they can literally have the club accept the offer because they have to, but they'll still have to agree terms and drag him away from Atletico Madrid. This is obviously something that the club do not want, and they're planning on offering him a fresh contract, which would take him up to 2025 and boost that release clause to 100 million. Now, in my humble opinion, 50 million is definitely way too low. 100 million, I'm not even sure. Like, I know he doesn't necessarily do the most glamorous things in football, and all the big money transfers are reserved for, you know, the guys with the ego, the guys who hog the limelight, the attackers, the flashy players, the goal scorers. But in Partey, there's literally nothing he can't do in the central midfield. He'd be brilliant for any team in Europe, and if you're going to go for one of the best midfielders, why shouldn't he go for more than 100 million? I mean, obviously Atletico aren't going to complain if they do get 100 million because it's a lot of money. I'd say that he's probably worth a little bit more than that. Anyway, that's just my humble opinion. You let me know yours in the comment section below. And yeah, feel completely free to bash mine if you want to. But next up, and away from some transfer news, Luka Jovic, who, well, life hasn't been so great for him in the Real Madrid first team, and now he's looking even more foolish after completely ignoring all quarantine rules. The Serbian striker headed back to his home country to celebrate his girlfriend's birthday and be with his family, which is completely going against the fact that the country is almost on lockdown due to the coronavirus and the fact that most Real Madrid players, in fact the whole club, was advised to stay in isolation. Now, utterly ridiculous, right, is Luka Jovic's then quote after being found out and realising that he's in a bit of hot water. Amongst obviously the usual, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, everyone's doing such a good effort in the world, all that kind of stuff that was clearly just words put in his mouth. He then went on to say, I'm sorry for the guys who didn't do their job properly by telling him what the rules were in isolation. Now, I don't know about you guys, not everyone's a native English speaker. The word isolation literally means to be stuck in somewhere by yourself with a certain amount of rules. Not always by yourself, but you can pretty much figure out what isolation means. There is no language in the world in which that word means you're completely free to leave your house and fly to another country. honestly, if what Jovic was doing on the pitch wasn't enough to annoy Real Madrid fans, this definitely would be. Anyway, in a completely unrelated note as well, I found out the other day that Luka Jovic is on 300 grand a week. 300,000 euros. Kudos to the agent that managed to sort that one out for him. I mean, when you're a youngster and you've had a good season, yeah, sure, you do get a big money move to Real Madrid. Maybe 60 million is a bit too much. 300k a week though. What on earth? I mean, in the footballing world, 300k a week takes you close to World Cup winning Paul Pogba. Takes you close to World Cup winning Mesut Ozil. Takes you up there, but obviously not with Champions League winners from around Europe. How on earth he's got that amount of money? As I said, well played to his agent. Real Madrid have been taken for a bit of a ride there, though. But moving on from that and to Mauricio Pochettino, the former Tottenham manager who's usually talking about all the jobs that he wants in Europe, but now he's talking about a partnership with Lionel Messi. Now, both Argentines started their career at Newell's Old Boys in Rosario, and it looks like the Pochettino, when he eventually returns to Argentina, wants it to be with Messi at the club. It's some sort of dream team, and it looks like he's probably been playing Football Manager a little bit too much. He said that even if it's in 10 years, he'd love to return with Lionel Messi, and let's not put it past him, because it is Lionel Messi. I highly doubt it'll be in a playing role. Maybe a Pochettino with Messi as his assistant. Anyway, he was speaking about the chances at the World Cup coming up in Qatar in 2022, and it looks like, along with Copa America next summer, these do really represent the last two opportunities for Messi to bag an all-important international trophy. If you're going to compare him with the likes of Ronaldo on the international stage, well, Ronaldo does have that Euro 2016 under his belt, but let's not get into that discussion just yet. So lastly but not least, a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news, where Lille's Brazilian defender Gabriel Magalhães is apparently on the transfer list of Everton. Apologies if I completely got that name utterly wrong. Chelsea and Juventus are looking into the possibility of a swap deal between Jorginho and Miralem Pjanic. In one of the more bullshit rumours of the day, apparently Spurs are interested in listening to offers for Tanguy Ndombele, who didn't quite do the business in his first season in North London, although considering the money they paid, I'm not so sure they'll be selling him so soon. And lastly but not least, Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga are the first team where all of the players, the manager and the club directors have given up part of their salary to make sure all other employees can be paid and that the club can stay afloat. So that's all from me for today. Make sure you let me know your thoughts on all the daily news. Smash the like button down below, click here and here, and wash your hands as well. Make sure you're staying safe throughout the current global pandemic, and make sure you stay indoors as much as you can as well. Aside from this though, have a great weekend. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.